Hello everyone and welcome to Ash's Whiskey Wars. For today's video, I'm actually going to do a whiskey war between two Obans. Now, as you may know, last year's Oban that did really well in my Whiskey of the Year for the Highland region was the Oban 14. We're actually going to review this whiskey against its non-age stated counterpart, which is the Little Bay. But I have found the time. I was actually just taking the evening off and having a drink to myself, and I thought, let's compare it, like I do with another similar whiskey. And I was having so much fun with it, I thought, let's record a video and get it up. So today we have the Little Bay against the Oban 14. Both of them are 43% Oban, so the only difference in them is going to be the age, because they're both ex-bourbon barrels. But I should mention that the Little Bay is small cask, so it's distilled in small batches and their smallest casks for deep flavour and fruity richness. But as always, we'll see if that's true or not, because I will say if it's true or not. Starting off with the Oban, and let me just say, this whiskey has developed massively since its neck pour. So I opened this whiskey about a year ago, so it's had a year to develop, and it is really close. I should show the bottles. I am getting quite a different flavour now than I did earlier on, and that is a good thing just before we start, because it's really gotten quite a bit better. On the nose straight away, I get really rich buttery biscuits, and that is so nice. And in there I get quite a few different notes. It's really gained complexity over time, and so there's citrus in here. It's quite fresh and uplifting. You have lemons and oranges, but there's a lot of sea salt in here. It's quite a salty sweet whiskey, which I actually really like in Highlands. Not all Highlands do that. They usually maybe drift a little bit more sweet, but some do have salty sweet, and this one does, and I like that. Citrusy, fresh, tangy, salty and sweet, and that sweetness, it comes across a little bit, it hints at baking and biscuits. It's quite buttery, so it's not faint and it's not thin. It's got a good amount of depth to it. Quite substantial, I like it. There is this beautiful medicinal quality in the whiskey though, and it comes across like plasters. It's nothing too strong, but it's so noticeable in the whiskey. It doesn't come across heavy in menthol or cough syrup or anything like that, but there is something, and I would attribute it to plasters. There's a damp mustiness to the whiskey, a little bit mossy, which are notes that I love. A touch woody, but not really. But it would be like a wet wood, so you're not really getting a wood spiciness. It's just like a wet, saturated wood. But very, very buttery. And also, it has this lovely vanilla shortbread, which goes into that baking element that I was talking about earlier on the nose. Now we'll compare it to the Oban 14. Straight away on the nose. Actually, this is a lot closer than I was expecting. Based on the neck pours of the two, the 14 smokes the Little Bay, but now that they're fully developed, it's a lot closer than that. So that buttery note translates through, but this is more of a buttered toffee. It certainly comes across sweeter than the Little Bay. There is more of an astringent nature to it. It's a little bit more bitter, but it's also sweeter. And the medicinal notes are stronger. So it doesn't have that freshness, that citrus tang, nor the saltiness, but what the Oban 14 has is a little bit more of a maturity to it. It's far oakier. It comes through with some spices as well. I get a lot of cinnamon with that oakiness. Old dusted books. But the medicinal nature is stronger, and definitely some, maybe menthol, but certainly some eucalyptus. It's getting heavier in those notes, and a little bit of mint. It has a freshness, but it's not a citrus freshness, certainly from that mint. And also a little bit of heather. It still has that damp nature to the whiskey though. They both share the same dampness, but the 14 is going to be more medicinal, more eucalyptus, adds the note of mint in there, which changes the freshness to it, and a bit more mature with that old dusted book smell. A bit more oakier and some cinnamon. The Little Bay for me, saltier, fresher, fruitier. It even hints at a little bit of red fruit in the Little Bay that you do not get in the 14. Which nose do I prefer? The whole way through the bottles, I've said the 14, but it's only now that we're getting towards the end that I'm really finding it difficult today. I would still say the 14, but you're getting a fantastic nose on the Little Bay. Okay, let's get stuck into the taste. Hints of that fruitiness come through, and I get a lot of toffee. It's sweet. The saltiness subsides, but on the finish it comes through a little bit evident on the finish, but it's more youthful than what the nose suggests. A lot more youthful. And so I would say that the taste is good, but it lacks a lot of complexity that I was getting from the nose. The nose is a much better experience than the taste, but the taste, it's not bad, it's just not great. Let's compare it to the 14. Bags of mint, fresh mint leaves. Really, really pleasant. That toffee nature's coming through, that buttered toffee's coming through on the taste, the oakiness is coming through on the taste, but with that cinnamon, I now get some ginger. Adds a little bit more spice, but it's sweeter, fresh orange juice. Again, that plaster note, that medicinal note runs through it, but there's a candied, almost fruitiness in there that's not too strong, but it reminds me a little bit of cough syrup, but maybe like a menthol cough syrup. I do really like the taste. The taste is far more sweet and a little bit more creamy than the Little Bay. The Little Bay is really quite more youthful. The 14 has a really nice charred wood note on the taste that the Little Bay doesn't really get, and I'd imagine that's purely just down to the extra age. It does just add that extra little bit of character. Just, I wouldn't really call it smoky, it's not smoky to me, but it's a charred wood, and that does give a nice note to the whiskey. Complexity goes to the 14 on the taste by a mile. A little bit creamier and more dense, more saturated, more full. The Little Bay, saltier, fresher, a little bit more coastal, but ultimately far more youthful. Okay, let's touch on the price. The Little Bay, unfortunately, is £60 in the UK. Honestly, really, really expensive. I think I bought this on sale for £33. And this whiskey does hit sales, not often, but if you are in the UK, whenever those big sales go on during the year, the Little Bay is quite often on them, and it does drop into the 30s. For that price range, I actually really like the whiskey. I think it's great. I would say up to £40, this is great. I would pay £40 for this whiskey again. Would I pay $50? Honestly, I wouldn't. And so for £60, I definitely wouldn't. The 14, I actually bought in Germany for €49 is its price in Germany, which is about £41, which is clearly exceptional value if I would pay $40 for the Little Bay. In the UK market, this whiskey is about £70 in the UK. and I actually think that's too much. Although, with just a £10 disparity at RRP, I've not seen the Oban 14 really hit a good offer in the UK, and that sucks, I have to be honest. So clearly, if there's a sale on, you go for the Little Bay. RRP, clearly go for the 14. The 14 is the better whiskey, and also in the German market, it's at a great price. In the UK, it is a little bit too much. Both of them are at their RRP. But the winner today is clearly going to be the Oban 14. I love this whiskey. I actually now love the Little Bay though too. The neck pour, I didn't really. I thought it was a little bit basic. But over time, this one really does grow. So if you have opened this whiskey and you didn't really get on with it, go back to it after a few months, because it does get much better. Especially that second half of the bottle. Okay guys, if you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like button and that subscribe button. That really would mean a lot. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you all for the next Whiskey War.